right? And we're
Out in the
good.
streets,
They call it murder.
What
Welcome to Jamrock. Hello, everybody. We are
Just
back,
looking
and
channels.
we are
Yeah.
live, and we are going to go through.
What's that? Oh.
Are you
Yeah,
playing it
Terrence,
back?
you're like the guy who calls into the radio station with the radio too loud.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
everybody, thank you for coming in and joining us. And we are going to be going through the Biden and Trump town halls. Wait, who's doing that? Wait, what are we doing here, bro? Do you have everything on the
It's you,
backdrop?
man.
Oh, it's me? Damn, I didn't even know it was me. Yeah. I guess I didn't know Twitch
Still
plays
trying
in
to
the
tweet the shit
background.
out. Trying to tweet the
Yeah,
link
yeah,
out,
man. I
man.
thought that was you, bro. Well, okay, as I said, we're going through both the Biden and the Trump town halls. And beforehand, we have a few, I guess, housekeeping items that we want to go ahead and talk over. The first thing I think is they're both pretty big stories. That's why we got to cover them. Is this one. There we go. Biden's secret emails.
Oh, dude, we're gonna get gacked. We're gonna get yanked off the air, man.
Well, this is this is part of why I thought it'd be safer to go on Twitch and start talking about this rather than on our usual newsy platform. We like to be more chill around Twitch, but YouTube and Twitter. So the reason that Matt's bringing that up, in case y'all don't know, Twitter went on a massive censorship effort regarding this article for some very, very flimsy reasons.
Yeah.
Now, as big, this is what we had tweeted out from the show account. That as big as this story would have been, it wouldn't have been as big a thing if Twitter wouldn't have gone about doing what they did. I mean, I don't think there's
Of course.
question about
I don't
that.
understand. Yeah. It's almost like they were, I don't know, do you think it's like conspiratorial, like they were trying to somehow like help the right? Because I've seen some takes like that were like,
well, is Jack right
about
wing?
CNN.
I'm not sure.
No, I think Jack is one of the most benign of the oligarchs, actually.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they are. They're a bunch of social media oligarchs. They're all billionaires by now. They have complete control over the modern public square, which is what social media is. You know, it's a modern public square, and it should be regulated like a public utility at this point. But okay, so this the big takeaway. I mean, the thing that keeps going around are the Hunter Biden photos, which we will show because we're that callous and we just really don't give a damn. You know, this dude this dude was using his name for enrichment, so not like he's hurting right now. It's not like he's really upset about it. But so Hunter Biden, as some people might have known, was a top executive at a Ukrainian energy company. And this was after it came to light that he had a drug problem. He had rehab issues. Basically, somebody you wouldn't really hire to manage a Denny's, let alone go and be a top executive at six for $50,000 a month. In an industry he doesn't really know. So the email here was Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving me an opportunity to meet your father, spend time together. It's really an honor and pleasure. As we spoke yesterday evening, would be great to meet today for a quick coffee. What do you think? Could I come to your office somewhere around noon, before or on my way to the airport? So this was exactly what a lot of people thought beforehand, which was that the whole idea behind Hunter getting his position was that it's a pay for play. Right now, I just want to go ahead and call this fair. The way that this information came out, because it was released by Rudy Giuliani, The way that all this came out, and it was from a hard drive that was from a laptop that was taken in for repair and then leaked. So the details of how all this stuff came to light is pretty sketchy to begin with.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
as far as
Supposedly, it was dropped off by an inebriated Hunter Biden who never picked it up.
yes,
So, like I said, it's like technically, if that's the story, then it's not hacked material, right? So,
mm-hmm,
them censoring it is admitting that they're making a decision on it, right?
right.
Like,
So you can see
so,
from here, the computer was dropped off at a repair shop in Delaware. And the other material that was released, it's just mainly embarrassing more than anything else. It's meant to be. There's a 12-minute video that shows Hunter smoking crack, having sex, a few other kind of things.
really?
Yeah, there's a whole 12-minute video of this. I know you're pretty excited about that, Matt. But
Sick.
yeah, so they couldn't. The shop owner couldn't identify the customer as Hunter, but then the laptop bore a sticker from the Beau Biden Foundation, and yeah, photos of the Delaware federal subpoena given to the Post show that the computer and hard drive was seized by the FBI in December after the shop's owner said he had alerted the feds to their existence. So this was subpoenaed by the FBI. You can see here. And now
What was subpoenaed by the FBI?
the laptop.
When?
Doesn't say here in the article, but it just says that okay, let me see. Maybe it's in the photo. Let me see. This was in 2019. Last year that
So,
there was subpoenaed.
and does it say? All right. So, how were they alerted to it was in,
The
that they had
shop
the laptop?
owner. It said the shop owner. I must have reported something because he couldn't identify Hunter Biden, but it had a sticker from the Beau Biden Foundation. So I guess he took an educated guess. But then he made a copy. The shop owner made a copy of the hard drive, and then he gave it to Giuliani's lawyer. And then Steve Bannon, you remember him, that piece of work. His former advisor to Trump told the Post of the existence of the hard drive in late September, and Giuliani provided the Post with a copy of it on Sunday. So,
So that you think? Wait a minute. So this is more complicated than I thought. Then, so then the FBI would have to be involved too.
Yes, to some point or
And
some
whoever
degree.
the judge got the warrant too.
Right. So there was a subpoena from the FBI about this hard drive, but the main part of this that led to the Post article was that the shop owner made a copy of the hard drive and gave it to Giuliani's lawyer.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
So the FBI thing is apart from this because the shop owner just took it upon himself to go and make a copy of that hard drive and send it to Giuliani's lawyer.
Oh.
Yeah, and then
before he gave it to the FBI, he made a copy of it.
Yes, exactly. So
and
then
it's still his though, like legally.
Yes.
So like the what's it called?
So this is another email that if you can see right here, Dear Hunter and Devin, following our talks and our visit to Como Lake and further discussions, I would like to bring the following situation your attention. As previously pointed out on a number of occasions, the representatives, the new authorities in power tend to quite aggressively approach Z officially with aim to obtain cash from him. Initially, this was it was done by the representatives of the Sabota Party in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. There is a so-called unofficial communications which would entail blackmailing in case we don't cooperate, provide money in cash. God's production business of NZ would be stopped, destroyed. So,
the what was that last thing?
It said that says unless we, if we don't cooperate, provide money in cash, God's production business of NZ would be stopped. So I mean, it's very. It gives you.
Who said that to who? Hunter said that to who?
This was somebody writing to Hunter, that I guess is probably the Ukrainian government. It said Vadim
Well, yeah, so still though, like this
So,
is all like this actually makes the Bidens look better. It's such a fucking dumb scandal for them to manufacture. They must not have
well,
been able
the
to find
the big
anything on that
implication, like
computer
like I said
if they
before,
had
was
it.
like the big implications of it is a pay for play, which we were known about. I mean, we kind of can you can make an
Well,
educated guess about that.
but that we have pay for play, but it's like it exonerates them though, right? Because they didn't follow through on it. They didn't do it, right? So there was pay for play, but there was pay, but there was no play,
Well, there was
right?
play
Like,
because if you look at that last email, it said that there was a meeting with Joe Biden.
yeah, but they didn't do their policy outcomes, right?
Mm,
They cleaned house
I
at
mean, but the
at
point is to sell access, right?
yeah, but I mean, I
So
guess,
okay,
but
so
like
like the okay,
you're
so
not corrupt if you're not doing the thing that they want you to do. Like you're allowed to sell access, you're just not allowed to do what they tell you to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's the the
here,
moral
well,
guideline.
like so here it says the exchange came the same day Burisma announced that it had expanded its board of directors, adding Hunter Biden, who was put in charge of its legal unit and will provide support for the company among international organizations, according to the news release that has been scrubbed from Burisma's website. Hunter Biden actually joined the board in 2014. So his
Well,
lawyer said that last year Hunter was not a member of the management team, adding that no time was Hunter in charge of company's legal affairs. So about 4 months after Biden's correspondence with Polarski, Archer forwarded Hunter Biden an email chain with the subject "Tax Raise Impact on Burisma Production," which included Polarski saying the Ukrainian cabinet has submitted two new tax legislation to the company's parliament. So these are all things that were pulled off from the laptop. So I mean, you can see, I mean, a few things here and there. I mean, they're personal photos that were on the hard drive. Exact. I mean, so, but here's the thing: the emails can easily be fabricated, and the photos could just have been real to go and try to add substance or at least some kind of evidence that those emails are real.
I
So I
think
think
it's
that the emails are more in question than anything else. But like you said, the emails don't make them come off as bad as maybe they're hoping.
yeah, I think it actually makes them look good. Like I
So,
said, it
you see, Savannah Guthrie questioned whether it's wrong for Hunter to take that position, knowing that it was really because the company wanted access to you. And then he says, "Well, it's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about." Joe Biden responded. So, I mean, it's clearly true. That's why he was hired. It's for access, and
yeah,
as bitter
I
of
know, but
fear.
like personally, I don't necessarily have a problem with. I mean, obviously, I'd prefer not, but like them selling their access, I feel like is only bad if you sell your access and then do what you're being bought to do,
Right.
right? Like,
So, okay. So these are the photos that are making the rounds and you are no longer allowed to post up on Twitter.
yeah, they wouldn't let me post them.
Yep.
They made
So
me take them
there's
down.
so that's yep. That's guess he's a heavy smoker, and this is the big one. You
Heavy
can
smoker.
every picture was like with a cigarette in his mouth. He's in bed
Yeah,
with a
because he's trying
cigarette.
to look based. Yeah.
Well, this is the one that I think got a lot of people's attention, right? So you can see that one, Matt, the crack pipe
Yeah, the
in the
crack
mouth.
pipe one.
He's knocked out
Yeah.
with a crack pipe in his mouth there. Um, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know what he's doing here, but he's doing it.
It's fucking. It's like, but like if they had all that shit, right? They didn't go through, like that's all they had, you know? Like they didn't have any dick pics. They didn't have any like you said there was like a sex tape thing, but like
Yeah.
I guess nobody would care about that either.
I
I
mean,
just like that's the most corrupt thing they could find on this whole, hard drive worth of emails. I think that in all likelihood makes them look better. It's like it takes away the imagination because before you was at least like you kind of had some vagueness and you're like, oh shit, maybe they were corrupt or whatever, right? But the fact that they had all the emails and the best they could do was that he, set up a meeting for the guy, and like, it's corrupt that he got the job. That's the corrupt part, right? Like,
Right.
The other stuff is kind of like the course of business, right? Because
Yep.
he's allowed to get a meeting with his dad if he works for the company, right?
Right. So so then that was one thing. And personally, yeah, like I said, I don't believe the story would have been as big an issue as it is. If they would have just left it at that, it would have been embarrassing for a day and then
Of
that was
course.
it. But then
Yeah.
Twitter did this. They completely censored it. They prevented you from being able to tweet the article. They prevented you from being able to DM the article. Now they prevented you from posting pictures of the article. You had people out there tweeting the article out in 280 character chunks in threads,
Yeah.
trying to find workarounds to be able to post links to the article. And then they were suspending people and doing all kinds of crazy shit to try and stop this article from spreading. They did a similar thing on Facebook. And even when you could get through the article, you still had a restriction from Twitter saying that this article was potentially harmful. Now, this was the explanation that one of the explanations that we got from Twitter for this article was, okay, so we want to provide a much needed clarity around the actions we've taken in respect to two New York Post articles that were first tweeted this morning. The images obtained in the article include private and private information like email addresses, phone numbers, which violate our rules. As noted this morning, we are currently view materials, including the article's violation of hacked materials policy. Commentary or discussion about hacked materials, such as articles that cover them but do not include link to materials themselves, aren't a violation of the policy. Our policy only covers links or images of hacked material themselves. So the policy established in 2018 prohibits the use of service to distribute content obtained without our authorization. We do not want to incentivize hacking by allowing Twitter to be used as a distribution for possibly illegally obtained materials. We know we have more work to do to provide clarity in our product when we enforce the rules in this manner. We should provide additional clarity and context when preventing tweeting or DMing of URLs that violate our policies. We recognize that Twitter is just one of many places where people can find information online, and Twitter rules are intended to protect the conversation on our service and to add context to people's experience when we can.
Did you see what I just sent you? Reinoehl's tweet?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I have that on our bookmarks. Let me go back to it.
Okay.
Now, what do you make of their explanation?
I mean, I think it's going to be selectively applied. I don't think there's no consistency, right? I think they're going to, like this article states, like a lot of articles are based on leaked stuff, right?
Yeah, hacked, leaked stuff, Pentagon Papers,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, Edward Snowden's materials, for God's sakes.
Yeah, stories come out every year, and it's like, I don't know. Like I said, if this was about Trump, they would have let it on there. I bet.
Of course they would have let it on there. If this was his tax returns were leaked. Like what?
My mother-in-law said something. Was there a story that came out today about insider trading? Something with Trump?
I haven't caught that yet, but
Let me see that.
let's go to Glenn Greenwald, who had this reaction here. Look carefully at what Twitter is saying to justify censoring the Biden story. If applied consistently, it'd mean that some of history's most consequential journalism, the Pentagon Papers, WikiLeaks war logs, Snowden docs, Panama Papers, and Brazil archive would be banned. Wouldn't that be nice?
You see,
So much of
the opposite of nice.
right, yeah, that's exactly.
Did
what
you
I
see
mean.
that Rokana replied to him?
Well, I'm gonna go through this. It's on this thread.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like he
yes.
was.
Send that to me so I could pull that up next. So So
You
much
did.
of the important journalism you read is based on a source providing the journalist to contain without authorization. Beyond the examples on which, beyond the above examples, why doesn't Twitter ban links to New York Times stories based on Trump's tax returns obtained without authorization?
Hmm.
Please don't be deceived. The authoritarian mindset expressed below, celebrating mass censorship of journalism they dislike, is absolutely a significant strain in current U.S. liberalism, which is why so many of them cheered the stunning censorship yesterday. So
Hmm.
let's see. There is literally zero daylight between many, arguably most national journalists reporting on the election and the Biden campaign. Does this sound like a journalist or DNC operative? And of course, they're going to the Russia playbook again, based on anonymous CIA claims.
Sure.
For liberals arguing
Um.
that tech giants are just private corporations who can do as they please, a free market absolutism, not even radical libertarians I can't espouse, read in the New York Times today on their monopolistic hold over the flow of information. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, big stories
I
don't
mean, what are
break
they
because
gonna
they're
do though?
authorized to
They are.
break.
I know they are never. They're never going to do anything about it, right? They're never going to like. They have to nationalize these platforms, right? That's the
I
only,
mean, that's the
or
only
at least have
explanation
some kind
to
of ruling that the First Amendment applies. But
right,
you know what? That might be a side effect of having this far right court, right?
right.
Like we know that's the right's biggest concern with social media is like shadow banning and
Right,
like
all that kind of shit. I
the
mean, look. Okay, so here we go. Let's about this tweet it from Kyle too, because he commented on it. Twitter, Facebook, and every other big social media company need to be regulated like a public utility, and First Amendment protections expanded on the platform. This is the left wing position, no matter what shrieking opportunistic authoritarians might have you believe.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
do you
no, we
believe
can't.
do you think that's a left wing position?
Yeah, I think. What did he say? That
That they need to be
free speech?
regulated. Yeah, for they need to be regulated as public utilities so that First Amendment protections apply to.
Yeah. No, I don't know what. Like, there's an argument to be made to you should try to put your thumb on the scale as much as possible to try and shut Nazis up,
Right.
but that's a dumb argument, and it will never work in our favor. Like, even if you get to quiet like a handful of like, you would get like a couple thousand followers, accounts, that kind of thing. Like that's not that person is not making the kind of impact on the conversation that they would justify opening the door to that kind of censorship. But the problem is,
Yes.
I don't think we have any choice, right? Like they're doing this to us. We can't. What are we going to do? The Democrats aren't going to step to them. Like
So
they're
this
that's like
was
the Democrats are even more in bed with
mhm.
big tech, Silicon Valley than the Republicans are, who have been pretty much doing whatever they wanted. So
So
good luck with that. Like they've been trying to get them to go after them on antitrust for years now,
mhm.
and
So
you know,
here was a tweet from the editor of the New York Post. Here, this is a big tech information coup. This is digital civil war. I am the editor of the New York Post, one of the nation's largest papers by circulation. Can't post one of our stories. The details of corruption by a major party presidential candidate Biden. And then here we have the president himself commenting here. So terrible that Facebook and Twitter took down the story of smoking gun emails related to Sleepy Joe Biden and his son Hunter in the New York Post. It's only the beginning for them. There is nothing worse than a corrupt politician repeal Section 230.
yeah, like that's from the guy who hates cancel culture. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happened. It's like even Glenn is doing it too, though. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this, like he's doing like the sort of false equivalency, right? Like that's what they thrive on is like
Yeah.
they have like one instance of corruption. It's like stuff like you know what I mean? Like if this was about a Trump kid, it wouldn't even make a news cycle, right? Like but like they have to hyper focus on every shitty thing the Democrats have ever done to make that story stick, right? Like, like I thought, like I said about the Hunter Pence thing, or the Mike Pence thing last week was like the he just would respond to every like tough question with like a story about a shitty thing that a liberal had done at some point in the past. Like that's their strategy, right?
Right. And here we go. The Virgin Donald Trump Jr. versus the Chat Hunter Biden.
Did you see mine?
Yeah, I thought I
tweeted that. I thought it was funnier.
Yeah, no, I want to. I'm looking for it. Here we go. I did bookmark it. See, I got you, bro. What are you thinking? I'm gonna get you on this one. There you go. Getting high with Don Jr. versus getting high with.
Yeah, dog. Think about like getting high with Don Jr. He would just be like a bunch of sweaty dudes in a room with Don Jr. yelling at you.
That's
Hunter,
wonderful.
He smokes crack at strip clubs. Like, I think.
With high end strippers too. Yep, they don't even have UD.
Like, yeah, I definitely would. No question, would rather get fucked with him.
Let me see. Let me go to another one. This is just cool. Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail by Hunter S. Biden.
Let me see it.
Yeah, you can see it.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, you see it. Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail with Hunter
Biden.
Dude,
yeah, like I said, I think he needs to make Hunter a bigger part of his campaign. Like
Hunter Biden paid
trying to keep him quiet.
Hunter Biden paid DC strippers to watch him smoke crack in VIP, and we love him for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
oh boy, Hunter Biden.
Yeah, like, I mean, he should at least be putting that out there as like,
right, and
to help with his like empathy thing, right? Yeah. Like,
well, we should move on to the.
I love him anyway.
Yeah, we should move on to the next story. Matt is starting a super PAC called "Horny for Hunter" with a singular goal: Sons debate. Yeah. See, I'm just did a little misdirection there for y'all.
I could totally do like that. Would totally work. You could totally call, like, rich Democrats and get them to give you money, not for the Sons debate, but like for some sort of like Hunter project. They would definitely raise millions of dollars for it. Yeah, we should do that. We should start a super PAC for Hunter.
For Hunter have a Sons debate policy. Versus Don Jr. Can they do coke like in front of us? Just to
they do coke and then they yell about it.
Yeah, let's make sure they're both on their best drugs. So here's the story. Here's from Emma Viglin. So the New York Post sketchy Hunter Biden story, which taught us nothing new, would have been a blip on the radar if it weren't for Silicon Valley's paternalistic, short-sighted, unethical intervention. That they amplified the story by censoring it, giving Republicans a new victim narrative.
Yeah, how is that not obvious to everybody? Because that's incredibly obvious to me. As soon as I saw it happen, like in real time, I was like, "Wait a minute!"
It really didn't have to be a thing.
Oh shit! Like
yeah, I mean, it really didn't have to be a thing.
Shit, right?
But I mean, this would have been the takeaway, if anything, and nobody would have talked about it. I guarantee nobody would have talked about this, but they would have just talked about the stupid pictures. Like, dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me. I don't think they would have talked about this. Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's reality and honor and pleasure is supposed to be really, the email reads. So I think lefties would have talked about that more than libs or even the mainstream media probably would have gone into that. I think it would have been more about the salacious pictures and all the virtue signaling there. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't even bother me. Like, it bothers me that he was working for Burisma, but like the dirt in here is like, it doesn't really bother me. So like, if it doesn't bother me, do you think that's going to bother like liberals and normies? Like,
no.
The part about, he shouldn't have had the job, but that's not something I blame on Biden, really. It's just kind of like, he's gallivanting around the country, like pimping himself out, like claiming to have all this access, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like he really had that much access. Like, I think
I mean,
Biden likes his kids, likes
yeah.
Hunter at least. I mean, he loved Bo, but like, I
Mm-hmm.
think he likes Hunter barely more than Trump
Yeah.
likes his kids, right? So this isn't something that
So,
impugns Biden for me, really. Like, you know, policy shit that Biden has done. Like, that's how Trump makes the case against Biden, and that's why it's so fucking dumb that he's running this culture war campaign when this guy is the swamp, right? Like, he could run his 2016 campaign again, just with Biden in there instead of crooked Hillary. You have crooked Joe, and it's all about like the crime bill, the all the credit card money he's taken,
mm-hmm.
like the student loan bill, or the bankruptcy bill. Like, plenty of shit you could hit him on
Right.
without
But
this
now,
weird thing he's
um,
doing.
now let's really go on to the next story that we want to cover before the
Did you see
town
the Ice
halls.
Cube thing?
Yeah, yeah, no, I got the Ice Cube stuff, but we're gonna have to say that for another show because if not, we're just gonna end up covering all this stuff that we have. We have the stuff from Kansas City looks crazy too.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah, man. That's the kind of shit we should be covering. The tenants are organizing, and they're keeping they're keeping the courts shut down,
So they
which
can evict.
yeah, which is amazing. It's beautiful to see, but I guess that means that that
Mm.
emergency medical eviction freeze Trump did. I guess that didn't
Mm-hmm.
work.
Yep.
Um,
But there is one story I did want to get to, and let me see if I can pull this up. So a few months back in Portland, there was a shooting after a protester was getting maced um, by the protester was Michael Reinoehl, who killed this MAGA dude that was macing him. He did if you all aren't familiar with the story, he did an interview with Vice, right, or Vox, one of those, one of them
Vice.
with a V. Yeah, it was with Vice, and subsequently, within about a week, wasn't it, that he was gunned down by U.S. Marshals. No, at the time it was pure speculation, but we said that it was an execution, that he got Chris Dorner treatment because he killed one of
Yeah.
their own. That's what we said.
He
Now this
killed
wasn't a
one of their
cop,
own. He killed
but
a
this wasn't a
Patriot
cop.
Prayer white supremacist
That's who
guy.
he killed. He killed a
Yeah.
MAGA chud. He killed a
Yeah,
MAGA
and the
chud
cops
right
took
wing
that
militia
personally.
person, and the cops took that personally. They took it as it was a kill. They took it. They gave him the cop killer treatment. That's what they did. And now we have
Yeah, shot
news
him
here
40 times.
from the New York Times that the U.S. task force, they killed that Antifa activist. Apparently, he was an Antifa activist now. I'm not sure how Antifa he was, but yeah.
I mean, he was going
So
out on the street every night, or
right.
most
So
nights.
that the thought at the time was that he pulled out a gun and then they gunned him down, which I never believed.
That's
But he was on the
No, of course
run,
not, because what kind
and
of a
it says
psycho would do that? It makes
yeah,
no
it
sense.
says a
Like,
few days after the shooting.
that's how brazen the cops are.
See, a few days after a shooting left a far-right Trump supporter dead on the streets of Portland, Mr. Reinoehl, an Antifa activist who had been named in the new media as a focus of the investigation, feared that vigilantes were after him, not to mention the police. Even some of his close friends did not know where he was. But authorities knew him. On September 3rd, about 120 miles north of Portland, Mr. Reinoehl was getting into a Volkswagen station wagon with a pair of unmarked sports utility vehicles, roared through the quiet streets, screeching to the halt in front of his bumper. Members of the U.S. Marshals Task Force jumped out and unleashed a hail of bullets that shattered the windows, whizzed past bystanders, and left Mr. Reinoehl dead on the street. Attorney General William P. Barr trumpeted the operation as a significant accomplishment that removed the violent agitator. The officers had opened fire, he said, when Mr. Reinoehl attempted to escape arrest and produce a firearm during the encounter. But a reconstruction of what happened that night, based on the accounts from people who witnessed the confrontation and the preliminary findings of the investigators, produces a much different picture, one that raises questions about whether law enforcement officers made any serious attempt to arrest Mr. Reinoehl before killing him. In an interview with 22 people who were near the scene, all but one said that they did not hear officers identify themselves or give any commands before opening fire. In the official
I wonder what
statements,
that one guy said.
I mean, in the official statements not made public, the officers offered differing accounts on whether they saw Mr. Reynolds with a weapon. One told investigators he thought Mr. Reynolds raised a gun inside the vehicle before firing began. Two others said he did not. Mr. Reynolds did have a 380 caliber handgun on him when he was killed, according to the county sheriff's that is running the criminal homicide investigation into Mr. Reynolds' death. But the weapon was found in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he put it in his pocket after he was shot to death. The AR-Star rifle was found untouched in a bag in his car. 5 eyewitnesses said in an interview that when the gunfire began, the instant the vehicles arrived, none of them saw Mr. Reynolds holding a weapon. A single shell casing of the same caliber handgun he was carrying was found inside the car. Garrett Lewis, who was watching the shooting begin, was trying to get his 8-year-old son out of the line of fire, saying the officers arrived with such speed and violence that he initially assumed they were drug dealers gunning down a foe until he saw their law enforcement vests. I respect the cops to the utmost, but the things were definitely in no way, shape, or form done properly. So there's that. And I'm not gonna go in. We weren't surprised, and there's I think I have like a hot take when it comes to this. The only group of people that have been criminalized more than POC or black people specifically has probably been leftists. You know, when you think about the communist Red Scare, you think about this shit, you think about leftism throughout the history of the country. If you have been identified as a leftist, you're identified as a criminal in a lot of ways, or you're a traitor to the government, which is probably even worse.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times when it comes to the more prominent leaders on the left, dating back to the 60s and the 70s, these were prominent black leaders that were also socialists. They were also left-leaning, and that was used to further criminalize them. So when it comes to a far-left activist who defended himself, I didn't expect them to go and take caution in arresting him. I thought it was a good chance he wouldn't make it, and I definitely didn't think he'd get the same treatment as Kyle Rittenhouse.
No, I mean, I thought he would. I mean, I don't know. I think I thought this was going to happen all the time. I mean, I as soon as Trump got involved, I thought he's fucked. You know?
And well, speaking of Trump, let's go to him because he was pretty much bragging about this. So
we sent in the U.S. Marshals. Took 15 minutes. It was over. 15 minutes. It was over. We got him. They knew who he was. They didn't want to arrest him. In 15 minutes, that ended. Anyway, and they called themselves peaceful protest. We sent in the U.S.
Well, there you go. They didn't want to arrest him. It was a hit. They wanted to murder him, and they murdered him.
I mean, can you imagine him like saying that though? Like it's bizarre that he can get away with that. It's like all these libs like fever dreams about like him going on trial and shit, and like this is the thing you should go on trial for. Like this is murder, right? Like he is, or you know, I think you can make a very strong case that they were acting under his orders. You know, like
of course,
use his encouragement.
Yeah, I mean they're operating under his silent complacency, if anything, at minimum. You know, and he's I'm looking at this one tweet here. I'll just go ahead and pull it up here. I don't want to jack credit for it, but the president is admitting to ordering an extrajudicial murder. That's what it is.
Yeah. And even when they like got in his face tonight, even when Savannah Guthrie got in his face tonight, she didn't mention that at all.
Yeah,
like, she was talking about white supremacy, and she was talking about the far right.
Because it's like what I said. leftism is criminalized and demonized by both parties.
Yeah, I know, but it's like kept trying to, like, he kept trying to do the same thing he always does, with make the false equivalency and say that the judge trying to kidnap the governor and, you know, this guy being murdered and all of that shit is somehow equivalent to Antifa. Like, what, you know, like a bunch of activists who show up to counter protests. Like, it's just, they don't have, I mean, I guess they don't care, right? But they just let them continue to put out that story, and they don't even bother to try to correct it. Like, it's, I guess they have no interest in it, right? Like, they don't care. Like, they want the left crushed just as much as they want the right crushed. And people like Savannah Guthrie don't know the difference, don't care, right? They want it all to go away. They just want to go back to brunch.
Yep. Well, speaking of going back to brunch, that apparently is what we have to look forward to right now with the Biden town hall. So, with since we've,
do you want to hit some of the highlights from Trump's real quick before we go to Biden's?
Do you have the highlights? Because I was just gonna roll out the whole freaking thing.
I'm looking at it here. Let's see. Biden's town hall. Trump's town hall. Here we go. Did you see the lady who said he had a good smile?
No, I after work, I'm telling you, I pretty much knocked the hell out, man. Like, I've been working on this crazy shit for for like the last 3 days.
She
You
said,
know what I'm talking about. Did you send it to me?
yeah, bro.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the highlights.
Here's a longer clip. This one.
You want me to play this one?
This scene. That's the comedic one, but
Okay.
This one I just sent you is more serious. It's like where she's grilling him about his taxes and.
All right, let's go to the taxes first, because we do value substance over style on this show, I'd say. But here we go. And let's play it.
I want to say two things. Number one, it's a very small
amount
this is
of
the
best line.
Number two, it's very straight. It's very, very straight. But it's a tiny percentage of the worth. Did you ever hear the expression underlevered?
Yeah.
I am extremely underlevered.
Here's the thing. You could clear this up tonight by just releasing your tax returns yourself. I mean, that's what I don't understand. I think people are just wondering.
As you know,
you're the only.
It turned out that I am
Yes,
underwrote
but
it.
the
They
IRS
actually,
says
excuse me. No, but you
The
accused
IRS says that doesn't stop you from releasing.
accused me of not being underwritten previously, and
No, I
so
did
did
not.
other people at NBC, and I am underwritten.
You
So
are.
that was solved. That's good. I am underwritten. No person in their right mind would release prior to working out the deal with the IRS. And I'll go a step further. I'm treated very badly by the IRS. They treat me very, very badly.
Just
You have
release
people
the version
from
that you want to
previous
release, man.
administrations,
Like,
they treat me very badly. But we're under audit. It's very routine in many ways. But
like
we're
the
under
audit
They like
you're
to
under, it's
change
not
the
going to get
game,
better
change
for
the
you.
rules,
You know,
do
it's
everything.
your
You saw
taxes
what
are
they
as
did with
good
the
as they'll
Florida
ever
people.
be
You
right
saw
now.
what they did with the
But to
religious
be
group.
clear, there is no law or rule that prohibits you from releasing your tax
No,
returns.
except common sense and intelligence and having lawyers that say, because I would love to release them, and as soon as we come to a conclusion,
Yeah, right,
I
bro.
will release them, and very gladly. But if you go to elections, and if you take a look, you'll see 112, I think it's 112. It talks about the income, which is rather massive. It talks about all of the properties. They have them listed. You can never learn
not that
more, but you know
massive.
what happened? People went there. All the reporters went there. It was like a feeding frenzy. This was originally when I filed it. And I filed it every year. I update it every year. My son is here. They run the company. I don't run the company.
It also says that you paid
Savannah, let me just tell you.
$750 in taxes in the year you were elected.
Because
Is that
that's
true
a
or not?
statutory number. It's a statutory.
But
It's
is
not
that true?
I think it's a filing number. You pay $750. It's a
microphone.
filing
Is that
or a
all you
filing
paid?
fee.
Because most people here probably
No,
paid
I
more.
don't know. I can tell you this. If they have my tax returns, as you
Shit, I
know,
turned it
they have
off.
to go to jail. It's illegal. But the numbers are wrong. I wanna say-
if they have him, it's illegal. But the numbers are wrong anyway. I actually think that the tax return thing actually is hurting him this time. Before, a lot of it was speculation as to a lot of what he was doing, and he could get away with saying, "I'm smart. I got away with not paying any taxes. You know, I'm a rich person that can evade taxes, and I just know how to work the system." I think that actually
it all comes back to that same thing, right? It's that people are suffering, right? People are broke as shit, and it's like in 2016, it was more like, oh yeah, fucking yeah, he's badass. Look at him owning the libs. Like yeah,
Right.
he did, you know, like he got one over on the, you know, on the government, and now it's like, you know what, man, fuck you. Like I'm fucking broke as shit. Like lost my job, lost my health care. And this motherfucker's golfing and getting $750 in taxes. Like
$750, man. Like do you realize like the top? What's the top marginal rate right now? 37%, something like that. If you make over like six figures, you're probably paying 30%, 37% on that top money. But what a lot of people don't know on how this works for a lot of rich people is they end up paying the capital gains tax only, and they live off the money they make in the market.
Well, that's not even it, though. The thing that makes his taxes so cheap is that he gets to use his losses from 5 years in the past to offset his gains. So he never has to pay taxes because he loses money.
Right. So that was what I was about to get to. So this is stuff that most working people will never be able to enjoy, because a working person cannot live off the interest that they make, even if they have something in terms of needing to file a Schedule D. For investments, you're not going to make enough money to do that. So that capital gains rate is 15%. Now imagine making enough money that you can sustain yourself and not have to work, and you only pay 15% taxes, and you're making six figures through capital gains.
Yeah,
that's the system that we're working in.
Most of them are, right?
And then
the rigged economy. Once you have money, it's incredibly hard to lose it.
Yes, it is. Once you have a certain amount of money that you could just leave that shit in a fund, in some kind of mutual fund, not think about that shit, and then just earn interest and pay 15%, your life is gravy. There's no such thing as a progressive tax rate. It's a regressive tax rate. Now, the other part that you're alluding to is depreciation, losses, all that sort of shit. He has so much in losses that he's writing off from his companies that it's as if he earns no income. And you can see some of the losses, some of the expenses are pay for play stuff, where he's saying, I'm paying Ivanka's company to do something, where he's just giving her money, and he gets to write that money off. That's money he doesn't have to pay taxes on.
That
what are we
and
talking
all the
about?
money he's making from foreign governments, like that alone.
And then on top of that, the whole thing he's talking about with the IRS, that is because the IRS gave him $100 million, and now they realize they fucked up and they're asking for the money back.
Exactly. Like they're never going to. His taxes are never going to get better, right? Like he keeps saying, like, oh, as soon as we're done, as soon as we agree, blah blah blah. They're as good as they're going to get, man. Like you should have given them in the middle of your presidency when nobody was paying attention, like whatever, something like that. But now it's too late. Like,
No. No.
I still don't see like what, you know what I mean? Like I still don't know how many people that really swayed, right? I feel like he lost the people he lost. Like he lost his base, like the old folks and the suburban women like abandoned him. And I think that was because of COVID and the racist shit, right? Like people were down for him to like do his racist shit in the background, but like the fact that it was such an important part of this year and they just kept seeing it being rubbed in their face over and over again, I feel like that was a really off-putting to those, suburban wine moms who were with him.
All right, now let's go to the comical one that you had mentioned before. This was, let's see. And
I want to see what the chuds have to say.
All right.
Because they're just going to say, they're just going to say there was a mean liberal being mean to Donald Trump. Like,
right.
They aren't going to care at all.
Which is par for the course, but let's Let's take a look at this nice lady here.
Evening, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, you have a great smile.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, he does. You're so handsome when you smile. Okay.
Mm.
Oh, no, I lost that one.
Oh boy. So he
Everybody
hasn't
was,
lost
like,
all the wine moms.
Posting pictures of pictures of him smiling. It's like I didn't see one good one. Like,
Well,
you know what
yeah,
else, too? It seemed like there was a lot of like Bernie bros in the crowd. I don't know, like it might have just been like making that up,
Right.
but like they were like independent, leaning Democrat. They
So
seem to me like that's like code word for
so
Bernie
wait,
bro, right?
so let me just ask you straight up. So how do you think Savannah Guthrie did?
I mean, she did better than they usually do, right? She, well, I can't remember an interview that was that aggressive for that long. Like
Well,
usually
I
they'll
think
ask like something snide at the end, but she like kind of went at him pretty hard. She didn't like nail him on anything, because he's so weaselly, he gets his way out of everything. But like she asked like follow up questions and pushed back more than we're used to seeing.
All right, so let's go to this one that you sent me. That was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves. I don't get that. You're the president. You're not like someone's crazy uncle who can just retweet whatever. Okay, what's going on here? For some reason, this one's not playing. No, hold on. Not sure why this one isn't playing. All right, there we go. I am getting a lot better at this, folks. I will not let technical issues derail us anymore.
Just this week,
She asked this question, Bed.
7 million followers, a conspiracy theory.
Oh no, not this one. I'm sorry.
Biden orchestrated to have SEAL Team 6, the Navy SEAL Team 6, killed to cover up the fake death of Bin Laden. Now, why would you send a lie like that? To your
That was a
followers?
retweet.
That was a retweet. That was an opinion.
Which one are
of
you
somebody,
watching?
And that was a retweet.
The retweet.
Out there, people can decide
Oh
for
yeah,
themselves.
okay.
You're the
Take a
president. You're
position.
not like someone's crazy uncle who can just.
I do a lot of
retweet
retweets.
That was
Yeah, you retweet QAnon. It's like us all the time.
And frankly,
Like
because the
she could have
media is
gotten
so
those
fake,
numbers.
so corrupt,
Like
if I didn't have social media, I don't call it Twitter, I call it social media, I wouldn't be able to get the word out. And the word is, and you know what the word is? The word is very
Like-
simple. We're building our country stronger.
Everybody knows
than
it.
it's ever been before.
Let's-
And that's what's happening, and everybody knows it.
Okay.
Okay,
Like-
so now, just for
Everything's
historical,
about the
just
radical.
for just for historical context, because I do think that this is this has like some historical basis in it with what Twitter allows Trump to do now. This is kind of like in the tradition almost. He uses it recklessly, mind you, but like in the tradition of something like FDR's fireside chats that he used to have during his presidency. What social media really has allowed Obama and now Trump to do is reach people, a lot of people directly. Now to go to the point of what Trump uses it for, I mean, it's completely reckless. It's stupid, and I'll go and subscribe to that fact that retweets might not automatically imply endorsements. A lot of people put that, but
yeah.
he does platform a lot of shit, like you're mentioning Q. And you would think someone that has the platform of a president, you would expect more in that sense. That you do expect more.
That line wasn't in it, but my favorite line, right, when he said, "Look, I just put it out there. It's up to them to decide if it's true."
Right. That's what that was in
Right?
there.
Like-
That was there.
Oh, okay, that's like the least presidential thing ever, right?
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm not like an authority on anything, folks. Like, I just
mean,
put it out
that,
there. It's
that
up to
works.
you. Like,
that
you're the
works
fucking
when you're
president,
not
bro.
right. That works when you're not an authority. When you are just a random shit poster. But when you are a president, when you're a journalist, and you retweet something like that, Even us, like we have barely a platform, but we're careful about who the fuck we have to go and retweet because we don't want to go and associate ourselves with some bullshit. You know,
Yeah.
We have this isn't Wall Street. We have a little something called integrity.
Well, like, I mean, I think somebody picks out the retweets for him, right? Like, doesn't he do it in like bursts? Like, I think some of them are him, right? But I think like other times,
I don't think he has anybody curate anything. I think he just goes out there and finds some bullshit he likes and then he shares it.
I mean, because somebody like I heard somebody break it down before, either on the QAA or on the maybe Robbie Martin's podcast. One of them, they were discussing it and they seem very curated, right? Like a lot of them are like they have like the Q hashtags in it, but they don't say the crazy shit, so it like, gets people hooked, it gets them like on the rabbit, like down the rabbit hole. So like stuff like that, and it seemed like it was calculated, but they're not all like that. Like I think they do this in bursts, right? Like I think they'll come in like once a day or whatever and retweet like 25 like of their botnets and shit like that. That's the other thing too. Like you've seen those studies, like the percentage of fake followers, right? Like they're not.
Yeah, I mean he has a lot of bots following him, and a lot of those bots are probably forwarding him some bullshit.
Shit.
No, what was
like
what were these
follow that account?
All right, now what were these other ones that you're wanting me to
suspect accounts?
What were these other ones you're wanting me to share?
Play any more of them. We can.
We
don't have to play any more of them.
All right.
Like, I sent you that Terrence K. Williams thing. I wanted to know if you wanted to see the Chud response, but probably not worth it.
All right, so why don't we go to this town hall? I'm gonna try to adjust the volume as best I can. So we'll probably you hear some background noise while we're testing that, but let's go and listen to the man who's up.
This I wanted to. We forgot to talk this earlier. We were talking about Jack. Check this shit out real quick.
All right, hold on. Before we go to the town hall. All right. True Anon.
Get this quote from Dorsey.
All right, so let's check this out. From Dorsey, we have True Anon, and bam. All right. Asked how Twitter affects government. Hold on. There we go. Asked how Twitter affects governments, Dorsey said Twitter is part of people creating their own temporary autonomous zones, he said. Citing anarchist thinker Hakim Bey, people can quickly create a group around any purpose and then quickly disperse, he said, which can happen across many ideas or organizations. A tweet-up meeting is one example, but a protest in Iran is another. Okay. So what were you trying to say about this one?
We were talking earlier about Dorsey.
Uh-huh.
What his motivations are. Like, I think Dorsey's on the left, right? Like, I don't, I think he's a bit more liberal than some of these guys, but it strikes me as kind of odd that he cites this. Like,
I mean, okay, let's kind of back up. I don't want to try to get into the
true.
Well, I want to get into the mind of one of these social media oligarchs. So kind of put ourselves in that position, because a lot of these guys they didn't start. I mean, they didn't start off billionaires, right, and end up as oligarchs. Zuckerberg was a college dude at Harvard, shit posting drunk, and then he made his whole fucking platform. A lot of these social media things just caught fire, and now they're part of such a big part of public discourse. But Matt, if you were in a position where you were in control of one of these platforms, I mean, what would your instinct be on how to manage it?
I mean, I would do like. I'll tell you what I wouldn't do. Like, I wouldn't do, like, bespoke interventions at random time. Like, I would, I would have, like, a basic TOS, like, like, whatever, like, no doxing, like, that kind of shit. But then,
right.
I don't know how much more involved you can get, because then you have, if there's any kind of curation at all, you open yourself up to like what the chuds do. It's like, that's one of their main issues. Like, do you remember when they had them in DC last year? Like, they had Jack and Zuckerberg and all, and all the right wing questions were about like, conservatives getting like deboosted, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
simple shit like that, right?
Would you have deplatformed people like that have been deplatformed, like Alex Jones, for instance?
I mean, like I said, like you can't have like a standard for misinformation. Like you can have a standard for like hate crimes and stuff like that, and like doxing, but like you can't be the judge of like what's true and what's not, right? And then like,
so as far as
use your, like, I think it's fine, like what they did to like put the when they like put the flag on the tweets that they knew were fake,
right?
Like the Trump tweets.
And I mean, you see fine, YouTube
right?
kind of doing the same thing where it comes to linking people. Like I used to watch these flat Earth videos just for fun and like all the debunking videos, and like now they put WikiLeaks. I mean, links to Wikipedia onto those pages just to say like, this dude's nuts. The fucking Earth is round. You're stupid. You're stupid if you buy into this. I mean, because a lot of these places allow you to curate. You're not just your. I mean, they allow to curate your detractors, your criticisms. So if you put people disprove, you can totally eliminate dissent within your platform. And I mean, for me, I mean, I probably would have leaned towards advocating that some kind of regulation as for my entire industry as being part of just like a public utility. That's what I would have. That's what my instinct would have been. Yeah. Would have been like, all right, you have to you have to start implementing some updated regulation to regulate myself and all the other social media giants as public utilities, because this is the public square now. That would have been
like, they have their instinct is to get as little as regulations as possible, right?
Right.
Like they always want less and less. They want to do it themselves and shit like that. But
right.
Like, the other problem is it's like you can't. I think probably Facebook is a harder question, right? Like I think. Well, because they have to control the spread of disinformation on Twitter, right?
I mean, apparently it is, because they just silenced every fucking thing from one article that they didn't like.
Exactly.
So if it came to anything, they could do that. They can do that. And it's
insane. Like that's. And look, I feel like they're doing the worst possible path with that, right?
Well, look, what it's gonna lead towards, and what I see it leading towards, is what you already see kind of on YouTube, where you have indie media kind of shut out and everybody trafficked towards traditional news outlets. So what's going to happen, since Twitter is largely media, is you're going to end up in a situation where all of it is going to be curated to the point where you are left with only these institutions that nobody has any faith in. And that's going to be the only source out there for info. So it's going to be like reading a newspaper on your Twitter.
I don't think it'll be that.
What do you think it's going to end up being?
I mean, if you like, there's only so many ways to like completely shut things down. Like they can keep stuff out of people's algorithms and all, but like generally, like news spreads. Like it has a way of like
gossip spreads.
What?
Like gossip spreads, right? Because I mean, the way people interact now, you learn from this, and I mean, people have gotten a little better at it now. You have people asking for sources and all that kind of stuff when you hear something. But when it comes to,
because it's like,
when it comes to curating news content and stuff, okay, so if
think about it though, like the left is like probably the savviest people on there, right? Because we're so distrustful of authoritative sources.
No, definitely. But so, like, but say
most
this was
people are a lot harder, a lot easier to fool, right?
But now say this was 2003, and like the means of information was the same, And you had someone like Kyle from Secular Talk going and talking about how the whole Iraq war narrative is bullshit and there's no WMDs, and publishing information to that effect. And then you had the entirety of mainstream media publishing the opposite. I mean, what can stop a social media giant from being able to go ahead and curate dissent in favor of the manufactured narrative?
I mean, like I said, it's like they definitely will do. I mean, we'll see under Biden, right? Because it's hard to say now because they're willing to take a lot of shots at the administration, at executive power, because it's Trump and he's so hated, right? Among the media elites especially. But that's kind of how it was under W too, right? They were willing to go harder at like imperialism and military and that kind of stuff because it was going after the president that they hated. But then under Obama, the story, like the drone wars, all that stuff increased, all the different wars, and that Hillary was waging, all the regime change, like that was going on, but there was just not as much discussion of it, or hardly any at all, because of the perceived friendly administration. Like, we'll see what they're willing to go to under Biden, but it's also all the Black Lives Matter the organizing that went on for that seemed to be they were very supportive of it, right? Like they could have shut that down, but they were, especially over the summer, they were in support of massive protests over and over because they saw it, the people who run the media saw it as a protest against Trump, right? Like they largely still do, right? So we've yet to see a situation where there's a story that they want to keep quiet. I have seen them effectively stifle it. Like they tried with this Hunter Biden story, and look what happened.
It blew it up.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first round, and I kind of feel that they're gonna get a lot more. They're gonna improve a lot more when it comes to silencing stories that they don't want out there. I really feel that way.
There's just so many different media outlets now.
And with you see what they do with our favorite indie tubers on YouTube. They're manipulating the algorithm so that people don't find them now. You were a lot more likely in 2016 to find Humanist Report, Rash, any of those guys. You're a lot more likely to find them than you are now, because the way I started watching TYT, I found Kyle off of that one time when he was on Fox News, and then from just watching those two channels, I found Mike, I found David, I found Pac-Man, I found all those people. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're someone like me was to go about that now, I'd end up right back in the lib circle that I was eventually disaffected with. That
sucks.
That's what it is now.
Fix that one, how would you even go about addressing that?
Well, because I think YouTube needs to be the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. If you're regulating it like a public utility, that goes a long way. But it goes into the legislation of they're trying to go and curtail the flow of traffic anyway. So I mean, what's going to happen is, it's
more about making money.
Yeah,
it's not so much about controlling the conversation.
But it is about controlling the conversation, because YouTube's still making money. Whoever goes to,
it's their motive is profit, not controlling the story, right?
I don't know about that, because when you're going and when anybody's clicking on anything on YouTube, YouTube's making money. They're fine. What's the difference between redirecting traffic towards one of the?
I'm saying. Yeah. The big boys probably pay to have their shit put at the top of the list.
So you're talking about payment in order to manufacture traffic towards the authoritative sources.
Search engine optimization.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would make sense. But on the other hand, I mean, these entities are getting so big. Do they really need that money? I don't know if
their business model.
I mean, within their business model, they can get as much traffic as they want. I mean,
I'm pretty sure YouTube is a loss for them, right? Who owns it? Google or Amazon?
Yeah, Google. Google
right?
owns YouTube.
Yeah,
but look at how much. At the rates that they charge for monetization, it's fucking ridiculous. They have to be making so much fucking money over everybody's independent content. Once you get monetized, I mean, you think that you're gonna be making a ton of cash, but you don't. At the percentage they break you off in as a content creator, I mean, no, no, they make a lot more money than you do.
It really sucks.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of that has to come in. Even then, we haven't had a live stream over there where we've been able to get super chats and that kind of shit. But even when you're in that realm, I'm guaranteeing you, YouTube takes a healthy chunk of what they donate to you.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'm like the only real way that you could probably get more of the money that you earn by going and doing content creation is setting up a Cash App and telling your viewers to go ahead and just send you some cash if you want to donate to them. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
but these
like Patreon,
I mean,
like,
even Patreon,
2%, it's like
right?
3%.
Yeah, I mean that's at least like a healthy I mean that's at least a good percentage of it. But I mean they put ad revenue on your content once you reach 1,000 subscribers, which. If y'all are on YouTube, please subscribe because we do actually want to get monetized just because, it'd be nice. But regardless of that, even when we do get monetized at some point or another, I mean, our percentage is not going to be that great from that. You know what I mean? Even if we go onto Patreon, I mean, they're still going to be taking, I mean, it's not going to be as bad, which would be nice for us. You know what I mean? But
like I said, I think Patreon is like less than 10%.
Yeah. So that's pretty fair. So if you're running ads on my YouTube channel and you break me off about 80% of what ad revenue brings in on my channel, I think that's fair. But if it's flipped around and I'm making like 10% of that shit, I mean, what the fuck are we talking about?
I think that's probably closer to what it is on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the whole thing is a stack of cards, right? Like the whole thing is like none of it's really profitable, right? Like it's just that they have like venture capital and everything's like financialized, and they have like middlemen, and they all basically get paid because they have the assets. Like they're selling the. You probably explain it better, right? But like everything is, you get more credit for the interest and shit. Like you get, I'm not explaining it good. I'm going to stop, but I feel like so little of the internet is actually profitable. These tech companies, right. I feel like it's all just,
I mean, it's all about ad space. That's what it is. If you ever look at the ad rate for what they sell you on Twitter or Facebook, a lot of the times it sounds reasonable. When you first go and you're trying to run ads for a small business or something like that. But if you're a giant corporation and you want to go ahead and just dump a few $1 million into social media ads, that'll take you places.
Yeah.